2025 is the year we stop living for shoulds and start living for wants. Imagine walking into this new year with not just goals, but a life compass, your guide to living an unapologetically as your truest self. Forget what society expects. We're here to build a life that aligns with you. Are you ready to rewrite your story and step in to a new you and who you really are today? If so, let's get into this. Hey, welcome back to Embers Rising. I'm Wendy J., your host, guide, and partner in chasing dreams that set your soul on fire. Across the table from me today is my co-host, business partner, adventure partner, and hey, lucky enough to have in-house 5-star chef, David Tucker.
Oh, wait, you forgot love of your life.
Love of my life also. It's a given, right? So, hey, for new listeners, if this is your first time tuning in, we want to remind you of what Embers Rising is all about. It's about you. It's about your story. It's about you helping you keep the fire burning inside, chasing the dreams that light you up, even when the world tries to dim them. Because that always happens, right? You're going after something and the world just like, boom, puts the big dark cloud on you. But this is your space to reignite. This is your space to rise stronger and step into the boldest version of yourself. So today, we are flipping the script on New Year's resolutions and unlocking what it means to be boldly, unapologetically you in 2025. And hey, let's be clear here. This isn't about staying comfortable in who you are. It's truly about embracing your core, your truth, and fighting for the life of your dreams, a life that you deserve, even when it feels uncomfortable. So here, remember this. Growth and greatness live outside your comfort zone. Let me say that again. Remember this. Growth and greatness live outside your comfort zone. So I am super fired up that you're here because this episode is not about setting goals. Yes, it's about redefining what success truly means. So stick around. This episode is going to be life-changing. Let's get into this.
Oh, and I must have misread the notes because I thought I was going to talk about my New Year's resolution to this time quit smoking and lose 5 pounds.
Well, that's not on this episode because everybody else talks about that, and we're not doing that. So, listen, let's talk story a little bit moment. Like, hey, Dave, how's it going?
I'm doing good. By the way, just for the listeners out there, I don't actually smoke, so.
Okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube, because I know you guys are going to say something, my production editor is actually going to say something. Why is David wearing his headphones around his neck, and is there something wrong? Yes, we have had some issues with audio today, so Dave is just pulled his headphones off. It's around his neck, but everything is fine.
And I have some ADD going on, and so when I hear just that faint little buzzing in the background, just that tiny little buzzing that most people would be like, yeah, you can ignore it. It drives my mind like insane, and I'll just be like a dog waiting for someone to throw a ball. The whole episode is just like, oh, what's going on? So,
Dave, if you need to take your headphones fully off, it's okay with us.
No, I think they look cool like this. You said like headphones look cool on podcasts, and we're
they
podcasters.
They look cooler on, but not around your neck. But maybe it's a giant necklace. So.
What if I put them right here?
Notice we can't get anything done. Hey, okay, so listen, I have to ask you, what did you do in the last weekend of December, the last weekend of 2024?
Well, in addition to Christmas shopping and preparing the Christmas Eve 5-star meal, we just dipped into a little quick 10K in the cold. And that was pretty good. I just barely eked out an hour in the 10K, which is my personal best. So I can hear all the laughing out there. You came in at like 50 minutes, which was like 8 or 10 minutes better than last year for that same run. So.
I like that Dave just jumped right into this. So I just asked him what he did in the last weekend, which was like a couple of days ago, which is like a day ago. And he just jumps into before Christmas. His brain is still on running the Jingle Bell jog.
It was quite a thing. So,
it was.
But in this last weekend, we've just been reinventing our business, living space, relationship, planning for 2025, like all of those things that we normally do, that normal people don't do.
Well, listen, we actually sat down by the fireplace. It was quite cozy, and we really dove into Jesse Itzler's big ass calendar and big ass planner. And let me tell you, it's a game changer. And if you don't have it, let me show you what it looks like. This is the big ass planner that goes with the big ass calendar. Highly recommend it. And these little tabs are just for me to know kind of like where things are at in the calendar that I like. But I'm telling you, I'm going to show you I'll just pick a random month here. So this is like what it looks as March. Can you see this on the camera? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to hold this up. So anyway, this has the coolest one thing that I really love because I'm obsessed with running, but we're filling out our running log and challenges. Yeah. This is going to be awesome. So this actually goes along with the big ass calendar that Jesse Itzler has. We've been mapping out our milestones and the experiences, adventures, the micro goals that bring us energy and joy into our lives. And if you haven't ordered one yet, I highly recommend that you check out Jesse Itzler's Big Ass Calendar. It's not just about scheduling. It's about designing the year to setting yourself up for success and who you really want to be. And we're talking about in this episode being unapologetically you this year and do the things that light you up. That's where the magic is. And you know what? Sometimes we don't have everything on the calendar, but we have concepts and ideas that we would like to get on there. Like you can put on there, hey, in the next 30 days, I want to accomplish this, or I want to go on this trip. We're going to be talking about this in this episode. So I think it's a really fun way for Dave and I to sit down and really set intentions that keep things real and also manageable because we like to stack a lot of stuff in.
For sure. And one of my mentors, he always said a plan unrecorded is a plan unrealized, right? And so this was back in eons ago when I was in direct sales, and we would sit down and literally every morning we would plan our sales, right? And it would be our sales, our calls, how many people we needed to talk to, right? We would plan it out and then we would just execute on the plan. And the funny thing is, you may not hit your goal on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, but by the end of the month, you always hit your goal.
That's really cool to say because, when you have it actually on the calendar, it's like you have something you're shooting for and you're not just waking up and just going day by day. It's like actually on there that you're going to do those things. And it's even more important about what we're going to talk about here in a minute that aligns with setting yourself up for success using planning tools like this and designing a year that aligns with who you really want to be. I think that's most important. A couple of notes that I put here for us to talk about was we want to create moments together and we want to do things that really matter, that we have the memories that really matter. And I think using tools like the Big Ass Calendar and the Big Ass Planner, this is a way that you can do it to really get the big picture. Because there's one thing where we all have our phone calendar and we've got our online calendar and our, computer calendar, all of that stuff. But we need something paper to look at and something to travel with. And I think the planner and then having something on the wall that big makes such a huge difference. So, yeah.
And we're both very visual, right? And it's important.
Yeah.
It's important to just, even if you're not focused on it, to check in all the time, right? Just have it in the background, have the things that you intend on accomplishing, in whatever the time frame is. Just have it hanging somewhere so that you see it all the time and put it on your fridge, whatever it is, however you use it. And there's some magic that happens when you write it down and then you have some actions against it and you see it all the time because you don't forget about it.
And if you're an organizer snob like we are, that I love the fact that there's color-coded little sticky notes that you can put on. Now, the new Big Ass Calendar is actually dry marker erasable. So that's really cool. Is that how you say that? Dry marker erasable?
Yeah, that's a thing.
I don't know.
Last year's wasn't?
Last year's wasn't. This
Okay.
year is. This is also the first year that he's launched the Big Ass Planner. So definitely check it out. I don't know if I can even show it to you. Oh, this is on the back. You can see that this was the dry erase section. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome.
So one of Jesse's key core concepts is the Misogi. And I see that you have yours written down.
Yes.
As to what it's going to be. Do you want to share what a Misogi is? It sounds so mysterious.
I do, but first of all, before we get into this deep dive and into our world, I have to give a shout out to all those people that have pressed play today because by choosing this episode, you are putting your headphones on. You may be packing up the holiday decorations. You're squeezing in a workout. You're driving to run errands. You're sipping a cup of coffee. You're tackling the dishes. You're folding laundry. Whatever you're doing, we just want you to know that we see you. We hear you. And we want to say thank you for bringing us into your life right now, because that means so much for us. Without our listeners, Dave, you and I wouldn't be here, and Embers Rising podcast wouldn't exist. So you're here because also you're ready to make 2025 your year and to step boldly into the most unapologetic version of yourself. And we want to help you make that happen. So before we get into the Misogi goals, I have a couple of shout outs that I have to share. And, if you guys want to jump in and DM us, we will see you out there. Most likely will. And you will be able to, hopefully get on our YouTube. We go through every comment that's out there on every channel. We see that, we read it. Thank you so much. We're so grateful for our followers and our listeners. So you guys mean a lot to us.
And there's so many great thoughts that come from that. Like the feedback that comes makes me think in a different direction, in a bigger way. You need a lot of input, right? I do anyway. And it doesn't just come from inside my own head. In fact, if it does, I probably get in trouble, right? So
Absolutely.
It's those outside feedback loops that help you think bigger. And that's what we're talking about this year.
We are. When I sat down to really think about writing this episode for the first of the year, how are we going to kick off the first of the year? And I don't want to get into New Year's resolutions and goal planning and all of that. It's just so boring. Everybody does it. It doesn't never seem to work. So I think what we've learned over the years by doing this is something so rebellious that it actually works. It actually works to get these things done. And this is what we're going to share with you. But again, before I do this, you guys are amazing, and I want to share a couple of comments that I had out there, a couple shout outs. So I had launched we had launched an episode on Tahoe. Tahoe this summer was an incredible mini adventure that we took, and Natty_creator says, wow, this hits deep. Tahoe really does embody that keep going spirit, such a perfect metaphor for resilience and purpose. If you haven't been to Tahoe or you're thinking about going to Tahoe, check out our Tahoe episode, because it has some key points that you might want to check out. There's definitely some tips that we dropped in there if you're new to go Tahoe.
In love with the Tahoe area, especially North Lake.
Yeah, North Lake is really passionate about North Lake. And then Social with Glams says, we don't grow when we don't stretch ourselves and wade through difficult times. Building resilience is key. Thank you. Thank you, Social with Glams. Absolutely. Our.whereabouts says, absolutely love this message. Growth truly comes from resilience and showing up. And Cassandra Hine says, building from the gold already inside. We all have it. We just have to be resilient and focused. So well said. Thank you, Cassandra Hine. Man, you're new. Welcome, man. Welcome. Welcome to Instagram. And I hope that you catch this on our podcast. We had another post that went out. This was all about our Speak to Connect signature program called Speak to Connect. And I talked about mastering clear and precise communication for all of you thinkers out there. And Robust Physical Therapy says, your approach to Speak to Connect is spot on. Being able to communicate effectively can truly transform both personal and professional relationships. Vishal Bari says, proven framework builds meaningful connections. Social with Glam says, this is one amazing method. I want to say, oh my gosh, this is really hard for me, your handle. I'm trying to figure it out. It's Tasha Fort. Maybe that's it. It's Tasha Fort says, this sounds amazing. Clear, authentic communication is priceless, especially handling tough conversations. And Shift.agency says, an underrated, meaningful skill. Far too many businesses are communicating the wrong message and don't even realize it. So thank you for that. And my last one is, we launched a post about 9 ways to keep love alive. And Robust Physical Therapy says, love truly is built every day. And Vishal Burari says, this is some advanced level advice. Thanks for sharing. And, I have to share one more because it's pretty darn cute. So we had launched a meme that was about this couple sitting on the sofa, and one of the guys, the guy in the photo, in the meme, is just sitting there with this kind of stern look on his face. The girl is sitting next to him, just going with her hands open and her face just blabbing on. And it says, when you've been together so long that your arguments aren't just exaggerated eye rolls, silent treatments that last 30 seconds, and telepathic I'm sorries. Pretty funny.
Pretty
And
funny.
Linda.Shineshine says, so true. Those little things show the real bond, right? Love it. And then Justin and Jess says, telepathic, I'm sorry, is way too accurate. Our.Whereabout says, honestly, this is relationship goals. The best kind of love is the one that can handle those little annoyances and still show so much affection underneath. And Putz on Penalty says, that's so true. So that was a really funny meme. So that's all I'm going to shout out today, but we want to welcome you for being here. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love the people out there that are engaging. You know, you have so many options out there. And for me, I'm really one of those bad people. Like, I consume stuff that I love and I never leave a comment. I have a hard time leaving right?
Yeah.
Those sorts of things, just because it's like next. So super appreciate
Yeah. Thank you.
engagement and the thoughts.
Pretty rad. So we're going to dive into this 4 mindsets for living a really unapologetic self in 2025. And mind shift number 1 is talking about forgetting goals and building a life compass. And I kind of like that, because it's like, what? It's the new year. Why are you telling us to forget our goals? But listen, goals are often a trap. They really focus on outcomes, but ignore the journey. And instead of chasing arbitrary milestones, build a life compass that aligns with your core values. And that's what we're talking about here. Your North Star for every decision should be built this year in a way that is aligned with yourself. Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. You know, I agree with you on, especially on goals, right? And like, I like to set a big ass goal out there, but the thing that you imagine the way it's going to be when you set a goal and what actually happens, right? So much evolves and develops and unfolds when you're in the journey, right? That the goal may actually be something that if you hit it, you come up short, right? That may be something that you can go way over, and not be disappointed about the journey part of it, right? The enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote down some real life applications to think about, to help you guys think about this in a different way. And we all know Steve Jobs, who didn't chase the trends, who followed his vision 100%. And his compass wasn't about profit. It was about creating products that he loved. And the result was innovation that changed the world. That's pretty powerful. And I'm all the way going back to a single mom trying to balance life, okay? Where a single mom who stopped chasing traditional career milestones because they didn't align with priorities of family and flexibility. Instead, she builds a life compass around time with her kids and financial independence, leading her to launching a successful home-based business, whatever that is. You're still getting ahead. Now, let me just shout out one more. Think of a college student who left a pre-med track to pursue graphic design randomly because it aligned with their creativity and love for storytelling. You know, it wasn't the safe path, but it was true to their compass. And now they're thriving as a freelancer with clients worldwide. We know, Dave, so many friends of ours that have gone down the path of engineer turn to spirituality. We know so many friends of ours that have gone down one path to do this one thing, coaching into musician. You know, so many. So the point here is sometimes you're heading down a path that's not really your truest self. It's like the embers are rising there, but they're not. It's like you're the one who has to fuel the flame behind that. And this is what I talked about earlier about greatness comes from being uncomfortable. I can't be an incredible trail runner without actually getting out there in terrible weather and putting myself through those incredible experiences. I will never be a great trail runner if I don't go out there and run 2 hours in the rain, you know, and the wind whipping at my face. And that's what I did this last weekend. You know, you've got to push yourself, but you've got to fire up what's deep inside of you. And if you get comfortable with what is right now, it's probably not your truest and highest self.
Yeah, for sure. The comfort zone is so inviting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why do it? Why go out for a run when it's windy and rainy and snowy and all those sorts of things? But it's the commitment to the process that's part of the journey in the goal or the outcome you want. And, you know, it just becomes the fiber of who you are. I don't even ask, are you going to go running in this weather? It's like, yeah, going to put on my rain gear and we're going to go, right? Because the weather really has nothing to do with the process. It's just the way it is.
And I think if you want it bad enough, you have to want it so bad that you are ready to absolutely say no to things, to say yes to the thing that's inside of you. You have to absolutely know that every day that you show up for something else or somebody else, that still behind that somebody else, there's a fire burning inside you that you're not following for yourself. And as soon as you start doing it for yourself, you may have a lot of losses, but you are going to have gains because you're doing it, the thing that you love. That is Embers Rising. That is like game changing.
Outgrowing your current self,
Oh,
right?
man. And this is the year to do it.
I think that's the core. Every day I'm trying to be just, a little bit better. And when I say better, I mean better in my terms, not in some external feedback where, someone gives you a thumbs up, and just enjoy, the results. But just know it's so fractional, right? On a micro level, like daily, when you go for a run, in the big picture, it's really not that much, but in terms of gain, right?
Yeah.
But you have to stack all of those little bricks together to get to the thing you want to do, which for us this year, when it comes to running, I know there is 100K floating around on that big ass calendar somewhere.
I know.
I don't know where it's going to be, and I hope it's not in the rain or the heat or the snow.
The perfect temperature.
Or in a city. I don't know.
71 degrees.
There's a lot of things I wish it wouldn't be, but it doesn't really matter because when it shows up and it fits in our schedule and we put it on the schedule, the day we show up, if it's 100, I'll be running 100K in 100 degrees, and that's the way it is.
Oh, it's so true. I was really thinking about, differentiating between a goal and your life compass. When an airplane takes off, it has a goal to lift and fly, but the compass is the destination that it's shooting for. And I think when we wake up in the morning, it's not about just getting up, rising, and then going to the next thing. What is your life compass? What are you really living for today? What are you? Is it your, yes, you're living for your kids. If you're a parent and you're listening to this, you're living for your kids. Absolutely. But what are you doing for yourself? Because that truly matters. And listen, what we just came through in the holidays is incredibly emotional. Good times, bad times, hard times. Everybody goes through waves of emotion with all sorts of family dynamics going on.
I was going to say, you better throw family into that.
All sorts of loneliness going on. Maybe not even having family to go to or celebrate with. We met someone, we were doing community card drop-offs at the grocery store. And one of the cashiers that we did a community card drop-off said, yeah, he doesn't have any family here. So he spent Christmas by himself, But, and shout out to that beautiful person, that beautiful soul that we dropped that card off to. But it is a massive wealth of emotion. So now we're over the hump of that holiday. This is time to really get dialed in on the compass. And that's why Dave and I are so obsessed with the big ass calendar and that planner, because you are now setting yourself up for this tracking success, and I think that's more important. Now, I wrote down some non-negotiables, Dave, and I want to share them with you. So let me just share 3 non-negotiables for me this year. Number 1 is authenticity. I said to myself, I am going to stay true to who I am with every decision I make, whether it's my work, relationships, how I show up in the world. I really want to feel real and aligned with my core. And if anything feels outside of that, it's absolute no. It's the decision's no. Number 2, inspiring growth in myself and others. I want to take every step I can to challenge myself, to grow, to empower others to do the same. Whether it's through this podcast, through personal conversations, through our work, through our clients, through our coaching. I want to help build bold actions in myself and other people's life. My life is about sparking transformation, and I hope that I can spark transformation in you, the one who's listening to this today. That's my goal. And number 3 is building genuine connections. I love people. And I love you who's listening to this. You guys know that. You know that. You can hear it through my voice. Life is about people. And I prioritize relationships. It's why I love doing community cards to our community. It's not just about sending the undaunting list of Christmas cards. But I prioritize relationships because they are rooted, honestly, in empathy and shared dreams. You are seeing people and they're asking you, hey, how was today's run? You may only see that person X amount of times in the store per month, or your hairdresser, or whoever is in your community or friend. But listen, surface level conversations, they never interest me. Never interest me. I don't care about talking about the weather. What I care about is talking about what you're going after. Where are you stuck at, and where are you trying to get to? That's the conversation I'm interested. Those are the 3 non-negotiables for me.
I love it. I think to sort of overlay that, I think we need to give ourselves some grace and embrace the word yet, right? And so we have these goals, and they're generally things we haven't accomplished yet. We have these things that we want out of our life, and we have this story of how it might have gone in the past, right? Like if you build a business or a product or launch something and it failed, it just means that you haven't achieved it yet, right? And if you tag on that word yet to everything that you want to do, right? Like I said, we're going to do 100K this year. I don't think I could do it tomorrow. I can't do it yet, but I'm going to do the work to make it happen. And I think you gives you the momentum to be able to fail multiple times, because that's what it's going to take, right? Like you're going to have to go out and do the work and fail and just say to yourself, nah, I haven't achieved it yet. The other thing is, and I was listening to Joe Dispenza this morning, and he said something that has just sort of been like pinging around in my head. And he said to change your reality, you have to change your personality, right? And I've heard him say that a bunch of times, but I realized just sort of today when I was working out, I'm like, man, who do I need to become to accomplish some of these things that we're putting on our big ass calendar in our goals, the things that we want to do? One of them is we want to retire in the next 3 years. So we need to stack heavily what we're doing in the next 3 years to make that a reality at the level we want to be able to walk away from whatever it is we're doing and say we're retired, which I don't think means we're going to stop doing what we're doing. It's just, I think it's a financial level. So we're not there yet, but it's going to take a lot of work. So,
and can I ask you, who are you becoming? Did you answer that question for yourself?
Well, that's
because that question you have asked yourself for many, many years. So,
yeah.
So have you nailed it? Who is David Tucker?
I think it evolves on a daily basis, right? Like you have the place you want to go, the person you want to be, the thing you want to do, the stuff you want to have, the people you want to love, the contributions you want to make to the world. And you may not be there yet, but to get there, you're probably not going to be able to just stay in that comfort zone of doing the same old thing, right? Because you'll get the same old results. I know that's cliche, but it's cliche because it's true. You need to actually come out of your cocoon, right? And change your reality by changing your personality.
And
I have to do it like this is super uncomfortable for me. In the podcast setting, I would not choose this a year ago or 2 years ago. Has it been that long? I would not choose this as something that I wanted to do, but the goal was to be there for you, right? And to develop the skill. And there's no way to develop this skill without putting in the work here at this time. So we don't have an amazing podcast in terms of audience yet.
I want to challenge you, Dave. So I think what I'm hearing is you need to put some words around who you want to become. And I think dropping this into one of your GPTs and having GPT help you craft the words, because you know kind of who you want to become. It's just the words quite aren't there yet. You're going to be an Ironman this year. That's part of who you're going to become. There's going to be who David Tucker is, comma after comma after comma after comma in GPT.
Agreed.
So get those words down, because that matters. And if you're listening to this and you're struggling yourself as well of who you're trying to become, like you want to be this incredible singer, dancer, trail runner, mountain biker, whatever it is, artist, musician, help GPT help you craft the words. Because when you can print that out or write it on your phone or see it every day on a sticky note, that is going to make a huge difference to you and your life, because you are reminding yourself who you're becoming. It's not just a goal. Remember, it's the life compass. You know who you want to become this year. and next year.
Absolutely. And there are things that I want to become that really haven't bubbled up yet. They haven't even identified themselves to me yet, or I haven't grasped out and, reached out and grasped onto them. So
True.
I know there'll be more. This time last year was literally when I said, well, I think this year, 2024, is the year that I'm going to become a runner. And so, man, it looked pretty darn ugly in the first few months and got less ugly. But as it got less ugly, the distances and the time got further, making it ugly again. So it's just the process, right? I mean, it's the running for me is a literal metaphor for life and the, things that you have to do bit by bit. But you'd be amazed what you can do in just 1 year from where you're at now if you apply yourself to anything.
I was watching this girl on YouTube who works on calisthenics. I can't remember her channel. And she, in 1 year with this calisthenics, the 2 bars calisthenics are these handles on the floor, and it's body weight. You're lifting your body weight. And her goal was to lift herself up on these calisthenics bars. And she put her hands on it, and she could barely lift herself up with a stretchy band in 2023. Fast forward to 2024, this girl was doing a handstand with her legs straight up in the air. That's how much strength she had built. She had been doing it every single day. And I'm telling you, Dave, I think I want those calisthenic bars. I want to do that. I want to be that strong. Is that possible at 50? Because that looks super rad. I'm gonna do that.
If that's what you want to do, I can tell
we're gonna have
the
calisthenic
audience
bars.
We're gonna have those calisthenics bars, and she's gonna be doing a handstand next year. So there's one thing the Wendy J does not believe in, and that is can't or won't.
Right. Yeah. That's
or should.
It's another story for another day.
All right.
So okay, let's move on. I want to give you guys a takeaway. Your life compass is your guide, and it's here to guide you through your uncertainty. And when life comes and hits you with a ton of other things of life, it's not about where you think you should go, but where your values demand you must go. And I think that's really powerful. So your action prompt for today is write down your top 3 non-negotiable values, similar to what Dave and I were just sharing with you, and look at those current goals. And you ask yourself, do they align? Do they align with you and your non-negotiable self? And if not, it's super time to recalibrate. It's super time to recalibrate and rethink who you really want to become. So that's my takeaway. Now, this next one, mind shift number 2. I love this. It's so visual for me. We're talking about burning the rule book of shoulds. I love that, man. I should be married by 30. I should have all my debts paid off by 45. I should be retired by 40. I should have a picture-perfect family, career, and life by 32. Sound familiar? These shoulds are societal scripts that weigh us down. Where's the white picket fence, Dave? I need the dog. I need the 3 golden retrievers. I mean, this is what keeps us falling behind because we're so focused on the shoulds.
And this is why Christmas with family or any family gathering is so agitating, because your family has the should built in their mind for you, and then they project it on you, and somehow you come away from that gathering feeling not great about your own life, and you're like, I hate my family, right? But that's not the truth. You just hate the story your family has
For you.
Yeah. Right? It's sort of a weird dynamic.
Well, we're talking about, what David's talking about is chasing someone else's version of yourself, of success. They have a version in their mind of what success is. And so they're questioning why aren't you down this path? But here's a question. What if you threw all of that away and you started living by your own rules? That's what Dave and I are doing. And boy, don't we get a lot of kickback. We get a lot of kickback.
And I think the biggest kickback you get is internally. Because I believe the rule book is your pre-programmed mind, right? It's all the accumulation of the stories and tragedies and traumas and pressures that you've had for your entire life. It's that past that if you drop it, so many of those rules would just you would shed them immediately, and they would no longer be part of your life. But as we all know, they're so deeply ingrained in your neurological system that you have to break out a shovel and you have to dig out those things.
Well, I challenge you all to actually write this down. What are your shoulds? Literally write this down on your notes. What? And you're thinking, I don't have any shoulds. Do you? Though, if you were to sit for 2 seconds and tap on your phone and write down, I should be financially free by this. I should be I should be a sponsored trail athlete by whatever day, age, whatever. These are the shoulds we're talking about. This is what we're trying to burn up. Now, listen, I want to share some real life stories.
I just want to touch on
But yeah,
something.
go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So you said write down a list, and those pre-programmed shoulds, those programs that are running in your mind, quite possibly are so deeply ingrained that you could never put them on a list because you don't know what they are. So we use a practice called meditation, right? And what's funny is people have different ways of meditating. And one of the ways people meditate is they try and go in complete silence, right? It's just, you just focus on the breathing and it's just silence. Another way people meditate is they sort of go through the process of projecting what they want out of life and envisioning that, right? And both of those things are great. But I challenge you to sit down and just observe what thoughts come into your mind, because those are the things that are probably the shoulds that come up that are just there. And I know, some people say, oh, you try and, just let those things pass by, right? They just let them float by like a cloud. But I say grab onto them and turn them over and go, why is this in my mind? Why is this a driver? Because when I got quiet and it came up, it's obviously a routine, like a hard disk that's just spinning in there. And how does this serve me? And until you can do that, right, you have no control over these things, especially when your mind is so complicated.
It's so true.
So that's just a thought. Use meditation to observe the shoulds as they come up. And you might be surprised. You're like, wow, where did that come from? That was like something from when I was 10.
Well, let me share a couple of real world examples, Dave, of people that you may or may not know, but let me introduce you to some of these folks. Now, we've seen countless people, from entrepreneurs to artists, ditch the rule book to forge unique paths. Look at Lizzo. She wasn't supposed to succeed as a plus-sized genre-bending musician, yet she did, because she embraced her authenticity. Check it out right here. This is incredible. People like Pink, the artist, musician, Pink, another forged crazy artist that has just done incredible things to inspire so many people across the world. In the ultra running community, Courtney DeWalter, a trailblazer in the ultra running. She is known for pushing boundaries by running races over 200 miles and embracing her kind of quirky beer and nachos approach to recovery. And, and the sport's dominated by this rigid training rules and nutritional protocols and, tracking your stretching and everything on Training Peaks and Garmin. She's ditched the rule book and she says, I'm listening to my body. Today I'm waking up and doing this, because she wanted to become one of the most celebrated endurance athletes in the world. That was her way of doing it. She did it a different way. Now, in the personal development community, if you all aren't familiar with Marie Forleo, a self-made entrepreneur, she was told that she should choose between being a life coach, a writer, a dancer. Instead, she embraced all parts of this herself and created a multi-million-dollar business that fuses personal growth with creative expression. Her mantra is everything is figure-outable. It's a testament to living authentically and rejecting one size fits all. I think that's incredible. And then my last one is, if you don't know, this is an adventure athlete who really turned into his mindset space. But check out and look at Rich Roll. He left behind a very high-stress law career and overcame addiction to become a plant-based ultra-endurance athlete, author, and podcast host. Rich didn't follow the societal script for success. He built a life around his passions, combining health, mindfulness, and storytelling in a way that resonates deeply with others. Those are a few stories of the most extraordinary lives being built by not following the rules, but rewriting them for themselves. And when you align with who you are, you become unstoppable. It may take more time. That's okay. Honor that. And I think that that's important, because this section is all about burning a list, man. Write down every should you've internalized, like Dave was talking about, and then tear it up, or better yet, burn it up.
Or the ones that resonate with you, move them to the top, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, actually, I should, because that's where my heart is. So what are the next steps? I like that you talk about Marie Forleo and her multiple streams of things that she does, because that's one of the shoulds that we hear all the time. Like, you should just focus on one thing. And if that resonates with you and it works for you, like, great. But try and tell that to someone like Gary Vee, right? Like, you should only focus on one thing. You'd be like, what? I do. I focus on one thing every minute that I'm working on whatever it is I'm working on, but it's dozens of businesses and, projects and those sorts of things.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If that works for you, then that's what you probably should be doing.
So yeah, when you make the list, instead of burning them all, like Dave says, keep the ones that serve you. That makes the most sense. And if you're wondering, like, which ones serve me? Ask yourself, does it really align with the embers inside you? Does it really align with what you're feeling? Does it really align with your life compass, your legacy that you're going after? That's the most important.
And the downstream effect, too, of should, but you're not. And so there's guilt, right?
Yeah.
And people love to have their guilt feelings as a driver. For a lot of different reasons, and we don't have that much time. But just notice the shoulds that create guilt in you. And it's a lot of things, again, family, like, someone in your family says you should go to church every Sunday because they get something out of it. And if you do too, then great. But if you don't, then it's probably not something you should be doing, right? There's no rule that says you have to do the thing that someone thinks you should be doing.
And one of the things that drives me crazy is someone that says something to somebody else knowing they're guilt tripping somebody. And it's not, they're saying it because they want something out of it. That drives me absolutely crazy when they're saying you should, and they're saying to you, you should do this, but actually it's not true. They just want the answer for themselves because they want you to do that thing. That drives me crazy because you already know it's a lie, and do not do that to other people. That's not right, because that's a habit you create for yourself by just finding meaning for yourself, like a feel good for yourself, where like, oh, I've told that person now I feel better that I've gotten off the chest. Maybe not. Let them just be them. You do you, and that's it.
And it's super hard to do because there isn't always some sort of ulterior motive to doing that. For some people, that's the way they operate. But other times, you just want something for someone else so much worse than they want it for themselves that you think that they should be doing it. A good example is, right, we have a family member who is severely overweight. And it's been years of like, I'll help you. What do we need to do? You really should like drop at least 100 pounds. You should maybe think about what you eat, those sorts of things. And it's not because we're trying to guilt that person into taking action. It's that we want them to be around, right? And we know the downstream consequences of not taking care of your health. It's a no-brainer, right?
Suffering in life.
Yeah, you're going to have a crappy ending to life. But they don't do it. So you just have to love them. But in that scenario, it's not like we're trying to guilt them. Although they always feel that way, right? Whenever the subject comes up, like they scurry out of the room very quickly because they know it's true for them also.
And they haven't taken the steps to actually make it happen consistently.
Being human's complicated. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, let's jump into number 3 because I want to move on. Our listeners are probably like, okay, guys, thank you. I want to circle back what Dave said at the very beginning because he saw on my big ass planner that I had a Misogi goal. And we're going to talk about that because number 3 is all about embracing micro adventures and 30-day challenges. And why is this? But listen, forget about overwhelming resolutions. We're talking about booking 6 mini adventures instead. Jesse Itzler talks about this and calls these memory makers. And these are life-changing. They don't have to be fancy. Grab your friends, family, or just yourself. Plan a camping trip. Visit a national park. Book a weekend at an Airbnb. Drive to a destination that you've never been before. The key is to put them on your calendar and make it happen. every couple of months. Get out there. Six micro vacations a year, 6 micro holidays, 6 micro take a break sessions a year. Life's best moments aren't random. They are created. And these adventures remind us and remind you of really what truly matters. Now, listen, last year's Misogi goal was David and I doing rim to river to rim in the Grand Canyon. Now, this year, what is our big Misogi goal, Dave?
So we're going to expand on that. We're going to do rim to rim to rim. So starting on the north rim, down to the bottom, up the south rim, turn around and go back. I think we get to spend the night on the south rim. That's what we've decided. So.
I am super fired up about this Misogi goal. So now, I didn't add this into number 3, but you can add a Misogi goal. We love to do one big adventure a year. That is like our big adventure. Now, our micro adventures right now, we have a lot of things on our list. We haven't filled them all out, but I think we have a few that we're really going after. I know Hawaii is in there. I know Moab is in there. I know California. And we're talking a lot of trail races that are in there that are around this. My birthday adventure is in there in Sun Valley. So, we are already stacking those adventures in there.
And in a way, it's like incentivizing the goals,
oh,
right?
Yeah, it's cool.
It's the way I like to think about that. And let's face it, we all work so hard that we want to show something for it. And money is not it, right? Like at the end of your life, you will not be able to hold up a bag of money and say, this is what I was able to accomplish in my life. You're going to think, man, what did I do with my time? What are those memories that I created with the people I love, doing challenging things or fun things or whatever your thing is, right? It doesn't have to be running. For a lot of people. That's just no.
I am so grateful that I've taken time throughout the years to make time to see my dad. He lives in California. I don't get a lot of time to spend with him. Every year, I try to make time to see him at least once a year, and do an adventure together. This last year, we did, we kayaked on Lake Tahoe. We actually kayaked Lake Tahoe. We did a hike together. We spent time together. We did a dinner together. That is what I'm talking about. Just little mini adventures together. I mean, that was just amazing. And we're still talking about it. And that creates conversation. Dave and I are like, oh man, we did this together. And the thing of it is if you're with nobody, and I have been there myself, been with nobody, no relationship, no family around. I have flown to Hawaii to check it out by myself. This is where you also meet people. And I went on hikes, I booked some tours, and I actually met people, and I started talking to people and actually created relationships. So even if you're by yourself and you're like, hey, I don't have anybody to do this thing with, just go. Book a camping trip. You never know who you're going to meet, in the lodge or, at the camp shower or whatever.
At the camp shower. Interesting.
Hey, there's a camp shower going on, or the campfire or whatever it is. So, I say go for it. And, last year I committed to every morning at sunrise, for 30 days, a challenge. And amongst these 6 micro adventures, I think we all need 30-day challenges. And I say 30-day challenges because you're going to miss the challenge. You're going to set yourself up for success. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And then you're going to miss it. You're like, oh man, I've 5 days I didn't do the thing, but then you try again. And that's okay, because it's all about creating consistency and then figuring out how it's going to work with you and your lifestyle, So for me, I really worked on meditating every morning before sunrise. And it really wasn't about being perfect and showing up. It was more about the result. Bringing more energy, more focus, more gratitude to my practice. And that's what I love. That was my challenge. And I continue to challenge myself with that. But here are some simple 30-day challenges I wrote down that you can try, like walking for 15 minutes a day, writing down in your gratitude journal what you're grateful for to thank each day. Hydration boost, man. Drink more water, drink down half your body weight in ounces of water daily. Digital detox. Avoid screens for the first and last hour of the day. Declutter. Spend 10 minutes tidying up a small space in your home. Listen, your home is where you're manifesting your life compass. So it should be pretty spot on. And compliment challenge. What? Give a genuine compliment to a random stranger every day. If you can, every day you run into someone, say, that outfit looks great on you. Now, I know as a man, you're thinking, I can't do that. But there is something you can say. There is something you can compliment on. Hey, your flower bed looks amazing. The way that you shoveled your driveway from that snow is amazing. You know what I'm saying? But there is something. Think about the micro adventures that you want to create this year. Create a 30-day challenge that brings excitement and growth to you personally and gives you confidence into your life, because these small changes really add up and they become major big transformations. Dave, listen, if we didn't do the Grand Canyon this last year, what a massive transformation we had.
Right. I can't stop thinking about it. That's why it's our
You're
Misogi again this
obsessed.
year, because it went by so quickly that just the memory like haunts me in a good way when I lay down and I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd spent more time, just enjoying that experience. But we powered through it, right? Like we were going to run it, run down, run up. Next time I want to spend more time just stopping the running and just being, because it's another planet down there.
It is so cool. So that's number 3. I just, just the fact that you're embracing micro adventures and taking on 30-day challenges. If you would, listeners, send us a message of what you're doing. What are your micro adventures? We would love to know. Or if you want to come with us on the Grand Canyon Challenge Rim to Rim, let us know. We'd love to have you be out there or meet up with you, or let us know a 30-day challenge. Maybe we can help each other. We'll share our 30-day challenges. You share with us yours. That would be awesome, because we would love that connection.
Ooh, the challenge meetup. I like
Challenge meetup. Yeah, let's go.
where we all draw one out of a hat. And then it's like, game on. This is what we got to do next month, or
I love
however
it.
that goes.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh, I like that, Dave. Yeah, we should do that. I like that. So my last one, this is
Jesse Itzler's going to steal that immediately.
I know, Jesse's like, My last one is number 4. The mind shift, number 4, is honor the gap between now and next. What does that mean? We're talking about the space between now and next. It's hard. It's uncertain, it's messy, and it's really uncomfortable, but it's also where life happens. So instead of rushing through it, like what Dave's talking about, what if you honored the gap and gave it a meaning? The in-between isn't wasted time. It's where you grow, reflect, and prepare for what's coming. Listen, the now and then, I was out there, Dave, over the weekend, running for 2 hours in the rain, in the wind, in the cold. That's the gap. Is that my goal? No. My goal is Misogi, rim to rim to rim. But you know what? If we're on a day that we do it and it's blowing wind and rain and cold, I have confidence I'm in the gap. And so I've got to honor myself and say, hey, you know what? I went out there, did the training. I can get through this. That's what we're talking about, the gap. Now, truly, there's 3 ways to truly honor the gap that are certainly real. Because there's a lot of stuff that says, oh, yeah, just think positive or celebrate yourself, buy yourself an ice cream, buy yourself favorite Starbucks. Yep, I've celebrated. Woohoo! But listen, I want to share these 3 true ways to honor the gap.
Let's go for it.
So number 1, you've got to acknowledge discomfort. I was very uncomfortable out there running in the rain. I was very uncomfortable. I was cold. My feet hurt. I was like, I don't know. But it's okay to admit that waiting or not knowing feels heavy. So instead of pushing those feelings, sit with them, man. Ask yourself, what's the discomfort teaching me? What is the discomfort teaching me? The gap holds valuable lessons if you're willing to listen.
Agreed.
That's number 1. Number 2 is reframe waiting as growing. We all have the goal of the thing, but instead of waiting, think of the in-between like a seed in the soil. It's like planting a bulb, Dave. It looks still, but it's building roots.
As long as the squirrels don't eat it, because if the
As long as
squirrels
don't
eat
eat it,
then it's over.
So in about November, when the temperature is a good solid 30, 40s, this is when you plant tulips, daffodils, your bulbs, okay? And people always ask me, how are those going to grow? You're stacking all that dirt on top of it. And listen, right through the winter, the cold, the freeze, all that, it is actually creating roots in the soil. It is incredibly powerful. This is the same thing we're doing right now in our winter. You want to use the time to grow internally, reflect on who you are and what you want, knowing that this quiet preparation is setting the foundation of what's next. I can tell you, Dave and I don't love getting up and hitting ourselves in the garage gym when it's freezing cold with the wall heater on, but yet we are building the foundation for we know what's yet to come. There's no way we can do 100K without having strong legs, strong body.
A lot of time on feet.
A lot of time on feet. We've got to have that out there. Number 3, finding beauty in the present. I think that's so powerful. And even in the hardest moments, there's beauty to be found. And it could be the warmth of a morning coffee, my tea, a kind word from a friend. And I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm saying a kind word from a friend really lights me up. I had a DM the other day that said Merry Christmas, and I feel so bad for y'all that I did not even get back to you. You guys are so amazing. But even the rhythm of your breath is finding beauty in the present. So honor this moment by slowing down and noticing what's around you. Look at the weather, look at your home, look at your partner, look at your kids, your family, and just be like, wow, I am super grateful for what I have. Look at the gym that you're going to or that you're training in, or the trails that you're getting on, or the music that you're creating, or that dream. Or maybe it's just even sitting down and you actually got the big ass planner and you're actually honoring yourself for starting to create this unapologetically you year, you know? So I don't know, Dave, I just had to share that because I think it's powerful. The gap between now and then isn't something to escape from because we all can do it, but I think it's really part of your story. And when you embrace it, you honor the person of who you are.
I love it.
You become the life that you're building with the energy that you put into the thing.
And there's two gaps for me, right? And the one is the future dream, right? And the other is the past story. And we stay so stuck in those two realms that we miss the actual time you have that's guaranteed, which is right now. Like, that's the only part that's guaranteed. And so, like, I get it. We're talking about dreaming and goal setting and planning out your life. Those things may not come true, right? They may not happen. No matter how hard you work, circumstances may prevent you from getting there. But if you enjoy the process of the now, right, you win. That's it. You win. So you may not have gotten the gold medal at the Olympics. Maybe you got the bronze. Maybe you didn't even qualify, but you did the work, right? And you did the best you could. And it's just that you've got to be in the now without the past, which may be the hardest thing to do. And we talked about that a little bit earlier in this episode because it weighs so heavy on all of us that if you're going to reinvent yourself, you can't bring the past with you. And sometimes that means you can't even bring some people from the past with you, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of times. So those are the gaps that you need to be conscious of. You need to honor. You need to recognize that it's there. It's part of your story. And you get to determine how much importance those things have on the now.
And I want to speak to the one that's just maybe not feeling the best right now, and you're feeling so down, you can barely make the next 24 hours. That is hard. And we have been there. I have been there with you. And I really ask yourself to give yourself another 24 hours to get through this gap. Just keep saying, give me another 24 hours. Just give me another 24 hours. You may find something or somebody that sparks your heart to keep rising. And that's so important. So I just want to speak to that because I know how powerful that is. And a lot of you have shared with me in my DMs that what I have shared that's deep like that has really resonated. So I do want to shout out. Now, Dave, can I recap this so we can close this out? Land the plane?
I'm looking at the time and
Yes.
I'm saying, like, land the plane now. We may be overdue, or we're going to have to serve another round of free drinks.
I know. Okay, well, thank you so much, listeners, for staying with us today in this episode. You know, our key takeaways to recap this episode is, number one, build a life compass, not just gold. Number two, burn the rule book of societal shoulds. Number three, embrace your micro adventures and 30-day challenges. And number four, honor the gap between the now and next as a space for your growth. So that's a wrap for this episode of Embers Rising. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. 2025 is not about just becoming someone else. It's about stepping into the boldest, truest warrior and version of you. Embrace the unapologetic you, the one who dares to dream, take risks, show up authentically. And we just want to ask one small favor, if you could, because we're new, we would love it if you could rate us on Spotify, leave us a podcast review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube would be amazing. And leave us a comment out there. We would love that. We read that. And don't forget to DM us on social media with your story.
And even more than that, if if something resonated, share it with somebody, because that's the way podcasts grow, right? It's not inside the podcast platform. It's by people sharing.
Yeah.
With other people they love.
So, and if you do leave a comment out there, we would love to shout you out in an upcoming episode. It'd be amazing. And our dream for you is to keep pushing boundaries, keep chasing dreams, and most importantly, keep rising every single day. Aloha.